Hey everybody, Andy McNamara with you for Chat Sports. Make sure you click subscribe on YouTube. Don't miss any Browns rumors, news, and of course, mock drafts. The NFL draft right around the corner. So this is my full Browns mock draft 2.0. We did the first 5 rounds a couple weeks back. This is rounds 2 through 7. Of course, Cleveland does not have a first round pick because of the Odell Beckham Jr. trade, which I'm sure we're all pretty still happy about. And we don't have to worry about the first round unless, of course, John Dorsey trades up, which, who knows? Everything he touches turns to gold. If that's his decision, I'm fine with it. You can follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81 and subscribe and follow on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/AndyMacLive. So let's get right to it. Remember, no first round pick for the Browns. The second round comes 49th overall, and the Browns select safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out of Florida. Now, what I like about this pick with safety in really the whole draft, how the Browns have put this together, is they put themselves in a spot maybe outside of linebacker where they don't need instant starting help. They could use depth, they could use safety nets, but there's no one real desperate position. Even linebacker, you have Genard Avery, but you still want some depth there. At this spot in the draft, and we're using the Draft Network mock draft simulator. So we do the mock, and this also tells us who in this particular scenario and rankings are left available around this particular pick. So I went with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out of Florida. The safety spot, you have Demarius Randall, which is great. You brought in Eric Murray, Morgan Burnett from the Steelers, but Murray could dip down and be a cornerback potentially, and you still want that young up-and-comer, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can be a stud. He's aggressive. You can pop him into a nickel, but he's also got some developing potential as a coverage safety guy as well. So maybe even a future free safety to take over for Demarius Randall at some point. 5'11", thick frame, 210, 215 type of player. Great tackler. Again, can move up, has a nose for the ball. The deep coverage is a work in progress, but again, this is somebody you don't need to necessarily be a day one starter, but with a high upside. So I really like this pick here at 49. Some mock drafts have him going low first round, high second. Others don't. In this particular mock draft simulator on the Draft Network, he was available, so I took him. And so there's the 49th overall pick for the Browns. Do you like that pick? Leave in the comment section below. Do you like the 49th overall pick, who I took safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Now, other options around there. In the previous mock, you know I love me some Taylor Rapp out of Washington. If Chauncey is gone, I would immediately pounce on Taylor Rapp, and it might be a close conversation even if both are available at that spot. In this mock, Taylor Rapp was. I went in a different direction. I feel that the ceiling might be a little bit higher, and I think the coverage skills are a bit more than Taylor Rapp, but either one I think you're going to be in a good spot of. Another side, you could go defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence out of Clemson. Again, in this mock draft, he was available, and the Clemson group of defensive linemen in this year's draft is phenomenal. You have Larry Ogunjobi, right? You have Richardson there that was picked up by Dorsey. So again, you don't need someone who can start right away. If you could add a value at defensive tackle like Dexter Lawrence in a rotation, that would be phenomenal. But the secondary was still a higher area of need. I didn't see a linebacker that I liked. Otherwise, I probably would have gone that side. Outside of the Devin White, Devin Bush, who will go in the first round, there's a drop-off, and you can pick one up later, just like John Dorsey did with Genard Avery, who turned out to be a stud a little bit in the 5th round last year. So other options. So we have Taylor Rapp, Dexter Lawrence, safety Nasir Adderley out of Delaware. Now, he's a real option. He visited the Browns facility. So that's a possibility there if they liked him. This is another coverage guy who has the problem with the Browns last year, of course, was tackling. So I'm looking for guys who can tackle, or at least even if it's a little iffy, have the potential to improve or who have shown improvement. Nasir Adderley, long guy, and you can mix him up as a strong safety, free safety, so I like him as well. And the other option that's been talked about a bit, and someone's going to take a chance on him, defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State. On the field issues with injured knee, ACL, off the field with domestic issues back in high school. He is most likely not going to be available to play this year or at least not into the end of the season. So Jeffrey Simmons, if healthy, was viewed as a top 10 pick in the draft. So did the Browns take that and park a second-round pick for someone who will not contribute for you this year, but with the hope that in the future, he's going to be an absolute star? I personally wouldn't go that route, but it is an option there in the second round. Who would you take out of those picks, or put in your own? Do you like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out of Florida? Do you like one of the other guys I put in? Taylor Rapp, Dexter Lawrence, Sincere Adderley, Jeffrey Simmons, or is there someone else? Put in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and make sure you click subscribe there on YouTube for Chat Sports. Third round, we go number 80, 80th overall pick. This is a spot again where, for the Browns, is there a linebacker available that you really like? Is there maybe somebody else on the offensive side of the ball, maybe a tackle? In this case, I went with defensive tackle from Arizona State, Renell Wren. And this guy is an interesting prospect here because, again, you look at somebody who can go in behind Richardson, Ogunjobi, and rotate in. 6'4", 295, powerful, played a lot of football, redshirt senior. He's somebody that can penetrate in the middle, can help collapse the pocket, and is powerful. So when you look at where he is technique-wise, this is where he needs to improve a little bit. Okay? This is where he needs to, outside of the pure power, work on his hands, work on not getting clammed up. But the power is there, the possibility is there, the ceiling is there, and in a rotation, again, it's something where you could benefit. You could say, okay, we don't have to rush you. We don't have to wait and put you in right away like so many Browns teams of the past. You can sit. So Renell Wren was available at that spot in the draft. I liked them. I took him. Other spots too, and I wouldn't get mad if Dorsey did this. Defensive tackle Dre'Mont Jones out of the Ohio State University. Now to me this seems a bit low. I don't think Dre'Mont Jones is going to fall to the third round. Again, in this mock draft simulator that we did from the Draft Network, he was available. Renell Wren, I still think, might be a bit of a better fit at that value. I was teetering back and forth between him and Dre'Mont Jones. I think the power upside of Renell Wren is a little bit greater. But again, I don't know if Dre'Mont Jones is going to be around in the third round. And it's a little dicey. David Long, cornerback. Browns need depth at corner. You brought in Eric Murray, kind of safety hybrid guy. You could use some help there. I got two corners as a possibility that were available for that 80th pick. David Long out of Michigan, Trayvon Mullen from Clemson. That great Clemson defense producing so many prospects this year. And then linebacker, we talked about Blake Cashman. And Cashman athletically is as sound as you're going to get. Is he as good a tackler that you want? Is he strong enough for the NFL game? Athletically, a lot of gifts there. You could go linebacker here. This is another spot. I have my linebacker that I love coming a little bit later on. So I'm going to pass on the linebacker. I'm going to go with the best defensive tackle available. In this case, I feel it's Renell Wren, again, a 1-1A with Dre'Mont Jones of Ohio State. So you could go there. You could go corner. Those are the options. Put below, comment. Do you like Renell Wren? If Dre'Mont Jones is there, do you rush to the podium and take him instead? Or do you like one of the cornerbacks? Do you like a linebacker? Do you like somebody else there in the group that we listed, or another player? Leave the comment below. Join the conversation here. Fourth round, 119th pick overall. Once you start getting to this point, folks, you start to look maybe for need, maybe guys who have issues to work on, but a real high ceiling. Maybe some depth spots. This is where I went offensive tackle. Max Scharping of Northern Illinois. Big body guy. He looks like a tackle, 6'6", 300 plus pounds. He is somebody that you look at and you're like, okay, this can be somebody that we can groom, that we can work on. You have Greg Robinson at the left tackle. Great resurgence last year. Can he keep it up? You hope. Now you have Desmond Harrison also in the wings who played some left tackle, struggled a bit, but they were high on him. And then you also have Hubbard on the right side for right tackle. So could you use some depth? Yes. Maybe some interior help perhaps. But I think at this point in the draft, Max Scharping is the guy from Northern Illinois. Could clean up some foot footwork issues, a little bit some technique there. But you got the body, you got the frame. Overall, this is a rising star where if you have him sit, if you have the ability to train him, and the Browns now have acquired one of the best offensive coaching staffs in football. The ceiling, again, we come back to it, the ceiling is high for Max Scharping. So you can go with the offensive tackle there from Northern Illinois. Other options at this position. You want to get a little bit froggy, all right? High, this is why I didn't make this pick. Running back Justice Hill. Now you might be thinking, Andy, we got Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's going to be coming back after week 8. And you got Duke Johnson. Well, the reason I put that into consideration is because Duke Johnson asked for a trade. Is he going to be here? Is he not? Kareem Hunt is eligible to come back after week 8. Does he stay out of trouble? Does the league let him back in? Once he's back in, does he stay out of trouble? What about the next offseason? If you find a running back you really like in these 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, then it might be worth picking him up to develop and groom in case you have to deal with Duke Johnson or Kareem Hunt. Justice Hill can go in between the tackles, can catch out of the backfield. Nice blend there. So Justice Hill was another option for that 4th round. Then off the edge, you have Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett. Love that one too. You're getting thin as far as other true pass rushers after that. Garrett has had some ankle issues. Olivier Vernon hasn't been a true number 1 in a couple years on the pass rush side. I think he's great as a number 2 option. You could use a little bit of depth there. So Anthony Nelson, Iowa, I went with there. 6'7". Guy is a specimen. He's also somebody you might be able to pop in and out, outside and inside. And John Dorsey has said he loves length on his defensive lineman. He loves length. He loves that push to get into the backfield. Nelson does that. Just by his sheer mass and arm length, he's able to get around defenders at the college level. He's a little tight in the hips, maybe not as fluid in the pass rush moves as you want. Again, you can put him in as a rotation, kick him inside, outside, and train and groom him. So for a 4th round pick, that might be an area you go if you see an edge rusher that you like and go get your depth offensive lineman a little bit later on. Another guy, Josh Oliver, San Jose State tight end. I felt it was a bit high for a tight end considering you brought in Harris from Kansas City and you got David Njoku, of course, there. But I want to replace Seth the Valve. You got to get better than Seth the Valve, and you can't have too many weapons for Baker Mayfield. So you look at Josh Oliver, and he's somebody who he can catch. He's flashed. He's decent in the run run and pass blocking game. So that's somebody you could pop up. Or I don't know if I could resist this. And again, I don't think this guy gets to the 4th round. In this mock draft with the NFL, with the Draft Network site, the simulator, he fell. Been talking about him on Chat Sports, the Browns Report, for quite a while. Miles Boykin, Notre Dame wide receiver. Highest vertical at the position at the NFL Combine. 6'3", 220-something, runs fast, wins physical matchups, obviously a jump ball specialist. You can put this guy in, and the Browns still need a big-bodied target. Odell Beckham Jr.'s 5'11", 6 feet. Jarvis Landry's about that tall. You have some size in Hollywood Higgins, in Rashard Higgins, but he's not as physical. I think Boykin could be a great fit here. I might go in that position, but I was thinking that Dorsey probably wouldn't value a wide receiver that high. If it's me, though, I would not be able to give up on the intangibles and probably take Miles Boykin, but I went with the offensive tackle instead at that position. So, do you like Max Scharping, Northern Illinois? Get your offensive tackle, big-bodied guy, depth move here, or do you want to go in a different direction? Vote in the comment section below. Let me know who you would like. The 5th round here in the Cleveland Browns mock draft. This is where you get 3 different picks for the Browns. Does Dorsey keep them all? Does he look to package some to move up? Who knows? For this exercise for Mock Draft 2.0 on Chat Sports, we're going to say he keeps all 3. And we're going to go that route. I really like where we come out, Browns fans, in this 5th round. I think you add some real playmakers here. Here are my picks. 144th overall, cornerback, Mark Fields out of Clemson. Another Clemson guy. They are just flying off the board as far as how deep that team is. Mark Fields, 144th overall. You get the cornerback depth. You have somebody who, again, at this point in the draft, if they were perfect, they wouldn't be a 5th round pick. He can get burned sometimes. Need to have him in coverage, be able to flip the hips a little bit better, but he has the potential to be a shutdown corner. And with Denzel Ward's concussion issues, you've got to have somebody in there that you can train up, coach up, and have as an option as depth. You can never have too many good cornerbacks. So Mark Fields goes for me at 144 overall, 155. This is my favorite pick, and I'm going to try to put him, honestly, folks, in every mock draft I have, because I think this is an option, different type of player, but this guy is this year's Genard Avery. 5th round pick, just like Avery, linebacker. He's out of NC State, Germaine Pratt. I am taking this guy all day, and you know what? I might not chance it. If we get to the 5th round and he's there, I might take him at 144 instead of Fields. I think he's going to be that good. He can cover. He can penetrate. He's big. He's physical. He's a sound tackler. He's everything you want in a linebacker. And then, again, what you have is Kirksey, Schobert, Avery. Now you put in Pratt. Maybe add a depth guy again a little bit later on and somebody from special teams. Germaine Pratt on this roster in a rotational basis, just like Avery. Avery started in a rotation and eventually was called on to be a starter. You need depth, and I think you get a star in Germaine Pratt, a future star in Germaine Pratt right there. Then 170th overall. Talked about replacing Seth DeValve. We hinted looking at tight end a little bit earlier. This is where you take your tight end. Bye-bye, Seth. You're gone. I'm going Foster Moreau out of LSU. Looks like a tight end, 6'5"-ish, thick. He can run block, he can pass block, he can catch. And didn't put up prolific numbers because he wasn't called upon to at LSU. You classic tight end. Box out, red zone, corner, multi. If Njoku's not blocking, you can put him out there. If you want Harris, if you want a three tight end look, adds another weapon, and you're not reaching in the 5th round. You have that value there. So Foster Moreau is my guy. Now, a lot of other options in the 5th round where we could go to. Another linebacker, I love Terrell Hanks. And if Germaine Pratt was gone, I think I would take Terrell Hanks here. Really liked him at the Senior Bowl. His lateral coverage, moving horizontally on the field, is something I don't think that's being talked about enough in this draft class. This is coverage of tight ends for the Browns have been a pandemic for ages. Terrell Hanks, I think, would help solve that. Again, good tackler. I don't think as physical as Pratt, but maybe a better coverage guy. Hanks, I really like in there. Edge, Joe Jackson out of Miami. Another depth edge rusher. You need to have guys in behind Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon, if they're one-dimensional. Even if they're only one-dimensional, you have to have those guys. Joe Jackson fills that cornerback. Michael Jackson out of Miami. Again, we go to some depth. Trey Watson out of Maryland. This guy is one of those technique issue individuals where there's a lot to work on, but if you can get him right, he could be a real find. I would go Terrell Hanks or Germaine Pratt ahead of him for sure. If they're there and you really want to pick a linebacker, Trey Watson might be your guy. Wide receiver, we go Stanley Morgan Jr., Nebraska, 6 feet tall. A little bit of depth there. I'm not sure how high you take a guy like that when you have Jalen Strong you brought in as a free agent. If I'm Dorsey and going wide receiver, I'm either going for a zippy, speedy guy who can be a kick returner, punt returner, or somebody like a Miles Boykin, who 6'3", the big-bodied wide receiver target and weapon, physical that you can't get right now, that you don't have right now on your roster. But he's an option. Interior offensive lineman. If you didn't want to go tackle earlier, you wanted to add some depth on the guard side, you had Michael Jordan out of Ohio State. Nice pickup there. And then Corey Ballantyne, Washburn, another cornerback. Long. This is somebody where if you can get, I'll say the technique word again, because we're in the 5th round and these guys aren't perfect, but he's got a long frame. He can cover. Little tight on man coverage. You got to work on him there. You can get burned a little bit off the draw, but his coverage ability is strong, and there's an upside guy for you as well. So Corey Ballantyne at corner. So you got edge rusher Jackson, Hanks at linebacker, Michael Jackson at corner, Watson linebacker, Morgan Jr. at wide receiver, interior lineman, Michael Jordan, and Corey Ballantyne at corner. Those are the 5th round options. The 5th round 3 picks again. Mark Fields, cornerback, Clemson, 144th overall. Germaine Pratt, linebacker, 155th overall from NC State. And Foster Moreau, tight end, 170th overall. What are you doing in the 5th round? Are you looking to package a couple of those and trade because you don't think they're going to play, or are you going to take advantage? Is there somebody in that list that you like over the guys I picked, or somebody you feel might be there in the 5th round that could be an instant contributor to the Browns, or at least somebody who can rotate in? That's round number 5. 3 picks in the books. Round number 6. This is where I get my edge rusher. This is where I'm taking my pick. Malik Carney out of North Carolina. 189th overall. Is he perfect? No, because he's a 6th round pick. But he's somebody who right away you can put it on the edge. You can be a pass rusher. You can put him in obvious throwing situations. Needs to improve on the run defense. But Malik Carney out of North Carolina is somebody that at that value you bring in, have him compete. If he doesn't work out, it's a 6th round pick. No big loss. But there's some upside there. Other options. If you don't take Foster Moreau in the 5th round, Tommy Sweeney in this mock draft fell. Now Sweeney, I feel, is somebody that, because he is such a good pass catcher, such a natural pass catcher, not as great in the blocking side of things, but as a pass catcher, he's really good and really impressed in the post-draft workouts, combine, etc. That might be where you go and get your tight end, Tommy Sweeney. I wouldn't hate that. Another linebacker, Cameron Smith. You want to add some more depth? You can go there. Go back to the interior offensive line. Alex Bars out of Notre Dame is an area you could go to add some guard depth on that O-line. Do you like that? I went back to running back as well. James Williams from Washington State. Pretty one-dimensional. Now I think he's a better in-between the tackler runner than Duke Johnson. He's a strong pass protector, not as strong as Duke. Duke's been in the league a few years. But out of the backfield, he is mainly an out-of-the-backfield pass catcher. So if you think you got to get rid of Duke Johnson, I don't think you drop too much by bringing in somebody like a James Williams at running back in the 6th round from Washington State. So that's the 6th round. Now the 7th round pick. You people know, if you watch the Browns Report, follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81 or on twitch.tv/AndyMacLive. You know I feel the Browns need a new kicker. I think they need one desperately over Greg Joseph. I think there's nothing special about Greg Joseph. I think he's a choke artist, and I think you could be costing yourself games this year with how this team is built if you go into the season with Greg Joseph. So I want competition for him. And I went with kicker Matt Gay out of Utah. So for Gay, what we saw, he had 26 out of 31 field goals. I only missed one extra point. He had a 62-yard kick during his college career, and that is somebody you can bring in to compete with Greg Joseph. I think all things being equal, he can beat him. Because again, there's nothing special about Greg Joseph. And the bigger, more accurate. Greg Joseph has a big kickoff leg. That's fine. But accurate deep ball kicker, the advantage goes to Matt Gay. So there's my 7th round pick on a kicker. Some people say, well, just go undrafted. Maybe. I take the 7th round pick. Safe. And if it works out, you get yourself a starting caliber game changer or game saver in a kicker rather than a guy you're just going to toss away or put on the practice squad or special teams. If you didn't want to go kicker though, okay, I understand. If you didn't want to go kicker, I do. But if you don't, here's another guy you could bring in. This is where you could again go depth edge rusher, pass rush, Sharif Miller out of Penn State. There's somebody you could go. Running back Craig Reynolds out of Kutztown. And I really like him in the sense that you might be able to get him undrafted. He's a versatile runner. He played a lot of wideout, so he's got great hands. He moved inside and is not a polished, pure running back or rusher because he was a wideout. But again, that's somebody where if you feel you got to trade Duke Johnson and you want a pure out-of-the-backfield pass catcher, Craig Reynolds could be the guy at running back. And you bring him in, and it's something where he could compete for a spot. And if you're looking for just someone to pass the ball, you can pass protect. He is somebody after the catch who is very dangerous. So you might be able to get him in the 7th round, maybe even undrafted. So if you don't want to go kicker, running back is an option there. Also, Elijah Holyfield, the real deal, former heavyweight champion of the world, Evander's son. I kind of half want him because it'd be pretty cool seeing Evander Holyfield at a Browns training camp. But ultimately, this is a guy whose stock has plummeted. He played behind Nick Chubb in Georgia. They were teammates. Doesn't catch out of the backfield. Now, he wasn't really given the opportunity to, like Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb turned out to be pretty good at it. This is more of a cannonball running back who's just going to smash the line, more of a LeGarrette Blount type, just straight ahead, boom, move the pile. If you take somebody like that, you can probably get somebody like that undrafted. But if you feel there's something special about Holyfield, this is where you'd be able to get him and bring the Holyfield name into Berea. And the last option, 6'2", 235, I really like the size. And if you're getting this value in the 7th round, you might want to look. Linebacker Ty Summers out of TCU. You look at the intangibles, and you'd have to think as a coaching staff. With that size, even though it's raw, with that size, can I turn that into something? Is that the type of linebacker I want with that model, with that mold? And I can form him into something that is a contributor, special teams, and a rotation guy. So those are the types of players. Once we start getting down, everybody's going to have flaws. If you didn't have many flaws, your 1st or 2nd round pick. So there you go. What are you doing at 6th and 7th rounds for the Browns? Are you taking kicker? Do you like my guy Matt Gay? Is there another guy you like? There's Cole Tracy out there. His leg wasn't as powerful as I would have liked from deep kicks, so I stayed away from him. Is there another college kicker you like? Is there a veteran you'd like to bring in? You can put in the comments section below. Let me know if there's any of those 7th or 6th round picks that you would take, any other late edge rusher, any other late cornerback that you would like that could add value to this Browns team. So there you go, folks. The draft is next week. Cannot wait for that. That is your full Browns Mock 2.0 draft. Leave comments below. I want to know what you think. Join the conversation. Let's have a debate. Get me on Twitter at AndyMC81, and we can also chat live on twitch.tv/AndyMacLive about the Browns draft and the other NFL draft prospects. Let me know, and make sure you click subscribe on the YouTube channel for Chat Sports.